I know.
Three regulars texted this morning, and then some people are out of town. So I'm hoping spring's gonna get everybody back into the spirit. Back into taking care of ourselves. So close your eyes and sit comfortably. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And just let yourself close your eyes gently. And if you need to move your head around a little bit, if your neck feels stiff and you want to circle your head or just turn it or tilt it, just be mindful of being able to feel the head maybe a little bit lighter when you sit up again. Like your head's floating up there on top of your spine, feeling the crown of the head just gently reaching upward. And then just watch your breath as it comes in and goes out through your nose, feeling your belly expand as you inhale. And on your next exhale, let your hands come on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, fingertips can lightly touch the ground. Then we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. Now lift your elbows up just a little bit. Feel your hands a little more firmly together and your fingers. And then let your elbows release down. And let's inhale the hands right up through the midline, keeping them together. And as we exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale the arms straight out from our shoulders here now. Turn your palms up. Let yourself release the shoulders down that way. And then bend your elbows and let your fingertips come to touch the tops of your shoulders. And let's make little circles with our elbows. It doesn't matter which direction you go because we're going to switch. So they can be really small circles. If that's better for your shoulders than getting bigger and bigger, then stay small. But you can increase if that feels good, letting yourself move into the shoulders gently and easily. And then we are going to reverse direction. So wherever you feel like stopping, you can start small when you reverse. You can get bigger and bigger if you want to. And now the next time the elbows come down towards the ground, go ahead and unfold your arms too on down beside you. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist towards our right. Bring yourself on around. Feel your feet in the floor, whatever part of your feet are touching. Find that twist there in the middle of the back as you draw your left sitting bone down. One more inhale. And as you exhale, move on back through center and keep on going into the other direction. So again, pressing down gently into your feet, feeling that right sitting bone drawing down. And wake up through the spine here. One more inhale. And on your exhale, let yourself come on back into center. And let's go forward and back with our breath now. Let yourself come forward as you exhale. It doesn't matter how far forward. And inhale when you come back up. That rocking, gentle rocking motion. Very quieting. Just allowing yourself to feel like the breath is moving. And the next time that you come up, let yourself stay there. Good. And let's stretch our legs out. If you're cross-legged, just remember which leg you have in front so you can switch. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit here. Once you have your legs out, you can circle, you can flex and point, you can pedal. You know, you may even decide you want to turn in and out a little bit. And then if you're cross-legged on the floor, go ahead and come back with the other leg in front once you do come back. And then again, let's move forward and back a little bit with our breath again. So letting yourself start to move that easy rocking motion with your breath. Good, and then finish the one you're on. Come on back upright there. And now release your arms out beside you. And then bring your right hand like in towards your ribs so that you're kind of going to tickle your ribs a little bit as you come up the side of the body by your ear, all the way up long so you really feel that length through that right side of your body. And we'll come over into side stretch. So if you're on the floor, of course, you can put your hand on the floor. You can let your arm hang if you're in your chair, or put your hand in your lap. Whatever feels really good to you for your shoulder. Feel those ribs expanding. Let yourself think of more space coming between your ribs when you breathe in. And then we'll rise on back up. We're going to lower that arm on down. And we're going to go the other side. So the left hand, fingertips kind of graze by your ribs, by your shoulder, by your ear. And then as you come up, feel that length. And then come over into that side stretch. So again, letting yourself really draw the breath into the left ribs there. Nice. One more breath. And then drawing yourself on back upright, we'll lower our arms on down. Let's bring our hands behind us. So like if you're in your chair, if you'd rather scoot back and lean all the way back into the back of your chair, do. Or of course you can put your fingertips or flat hands onto the floor if you're on the floor. Just imagine there's a string attached to your sternum and somebody's pulling it forward and up on a diagonal line really. So you're really feeling that lift and openness through the chest. One more breath. And then come on forward. We're going to come into a little forward bend just to release your back. So, you know, whether you come a little bit and just let your head hang, or maybe you want to go farther forward, you can walk your hands out as far as you want. Let it feel like a relief. Come into your breath now, just watching the breath easily come in and out through your nose. Good. One more breath. And then take your time when you start to head on back up. And stretch yourself out for a second. Move around a little bit through your feet, your hands. And we're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So you know that does not mean you need to be on your knees if you don't want to be. You can get a blanket, put it under your hands or your knees or both. Or you can be up in the chair. So just be mindful of getting your knees or your feet underneath your hips there. Hands under your shoulders to where you're comfortable. And if you need to come onto fists, do, of course. And then just start to move through those cat-cows. Feeling that tailbone sort of initiate every time, really. So whether you're sending your tailbone back and up, moving into cow, or drawing the tailbone up under you into your cat pose, see if you can kind of isolate to feel that movement first in your tailbone. And enjoy that nice ease of flowing through your back. Good. Complete the one you're on. Come on back to a more neutral spine here now. And let's step our left foot forward and our right foot back to come into lunge. So you know in a lunge, how far back you step is totally up to you. You do want a little, remember width-wise, some space between your feet like you're on those really, really narrow railroad tracks. And then just enjoy. Let the back of the right leg open up. Kind of zip up your low belly a little bit. Think of zipping up a bit so you feel that sense of support there for your back. Good. We're going to switch our legs out and come to the other side. So again, finding that alignment in the pose there, front knee bent no farther forward than your ankle, so you're not overdoing it there for your knee. And then draw your shoulders down, let yourself enjoy finding that length in the back of the left leg there, but the belly is going to zip up again a little bit. Good, we're going to switch legs again. So this time, if you can press your feet away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet and feel a little more up into your hips, some of you might want to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh. Not necessary, but if you want to, you can. And we're going to switch one more time. So again, once you really get into that lunge and you can press those feet a little away from each other, if you feel like rising your right hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can. Good, and then we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend. So everyone is different, we all know that. Forward bends for some people are relief, and for some people are just the opposite, right? It's too much for their low back. So use whatever support you need. You can have hands on a chair, you can have your forearms on your thighs there, your elbows above your knees if you'd rather, or put your hands down towards the floor or towards blocks. Be mindful. Sometimes I like to use the seat of the chair for my head, or even to put a block on the chair seat and put my head on it. So just let your back have a little bit of time here. Let yourself feel the backs of the legs gradually feeling like they're opening up a little bit more. Watch your breath all the way in and out. One more nice full deep breath. And we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. As we press into our feet and come on up to standing, we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose. So adjust as you need. If you need to adjust your feet, if you need to look at your feet, just be mindful. Feel really balanced there if you can between your feet. Letting your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. Feel the connection between each finger too and your thumbs, whatever part of your palms are touching. Let your eyes either be opened or closed, but imagine you're looking out towards the horizon, whichever one of those you're doing. And feel that ease of coming into your mountain pose. Good, and then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees a little bit as you come on forward into that standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Let yourself find that as flat as you can in your spine there, as long as you can. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. Good. And let's make our way into our own downward facing dog pose. So you know hands can be on any height you need, on blocks, on the chair, on the floor. Let yourself reach back through your tailbone, through your sitting bones. Feel your elbows softly hugging towards each other and get comfortable in your shoulders, right? So the height of your hands can make a huge difference in dog. And then we'll come on out towards a plank, towards a push-up pose. If you need to put your knees down and do a half plank, do. Or go onto your forearms to get out of your hands entirely, if that feels better for you. If you like to do push-ups, you can. You can bend your elbows. Sometimes just a tiny little bit's enough. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit if you want to with your dog. Bend a knee at a time. Take your time. Good. And from here, we'll let our right foot come forward to come into lunge. So, you know, you can put both knees down to get back into that lunge, or put your left knee down if you need to. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend again. right to your breaths, whatever support you want. If you can, let your head hang, as long as it doesn't hurt your back, then let your head hang. If that's really bothersome to put too much pressure into your low back, then go ahead and keep your head more in line with your spine. But let go through your face. Let your face soften. Let your jaw go, which is not always easy, but just imagine releasing all through your jaw. And let your breath even out the length of your inhales and exhales if you can. Good, and then let's let our hands come back up to our hips, press into our feet, and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms right back down beside us and inhale them back out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on forward again. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. Remember, you put your hands on whatever surface you want. And we'll step our left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose of choice. So remember, be mindful and think of being as equally long through the sides of your body as you can. So that'll help your spine to be lengthened. You reach back through your tailbone. We're going to come on out towards a plank, and again, as you come to plank, it is totally up to you how far you go. You know, take your time. Put your knees down, go to forearms if you need to. But just be mindful. If you like to bend your elbows, you can. We're going to make our way back to down dog. So again, reaching back, being mindful again of your own shoulders. Imagine you're hugging a beach ball right there between your elbows, so you just softly draw the elbows inward. And we'll bring the left foot forward this time to come into lunge. And draw your shoulders away from your ears. If you find them kind of hunching up there, see if you can think of space between your ears and your shoulders. And then we'll step forward and come back into standing forward bend again. So again, you know what kind of support you need. Go where you can be. Let yourself then just receive your breaths in and out really easily. But feel how your ribs expand when you breathe in. And how they come back in as you exhale. Good, one more breath. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, press into our feet and rise back up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms and inhale just the right arm all the way out and up and overhead. Just like we did when we were sitting. Really find that length. And now, bring your left palm onto the outside of your left leg and slide the fingertips down just a little bit. So you're really connected there with your hand to your leg. Now, if any of you want to shift your hips a little more to the right, you can. If it bothers your knee, don't do it. One more breath into the side. And then come on back up. Get your arm on down beside you. Get stacked up evenly there. And then we're going to inhale the left arm up. And again, find that length. And then let yourself reach over into that standing side stretch. So again, sometimes it feels good to shift your hips a little bit towards that left side that you're stretching, but not if it bothers your knee. And let your right hand just be touching gently onto your leg there. And then we'll rise on back up. We're going to lower our arms down. And let's inhale our arms forward this time and out and up overhead. You can be a wide V if you want. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come forward again into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat, long back again. Remember, really think of your heart melting down when you flatten your spine out. Good. We're going to walk into down dog from here. So hands, whatever surface you like, bring yourself into your down dog. And on your next inhale, come on out towards that plank through to a back bend if you want to, but it's not necessary, right? So if you're on the floor, you want to come into a Sphinx or a Cobra, you can, or an up dog. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit in your dog, let your head move around from side to side. If it feels good just to turn your head, do. Good, and then come on back to your full dog. We're going to do that same thing again, out to plank. And it's totally optional to add a back bend. And what kind of a back bend is also optional, right? You can go to your forearms, do a Sphinx. You can move through for a Cobra or an up dog. Good, and then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. This time let's bring our right foot forward to come into that lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into our standing forward bend again. So just be aware again of getting comfortable for yourself, whatever kind of support you need. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Let yourself just let the backs of the legs get that gentle, just from you being forward, you're going to open up the backs of your legs a little bit more, even if the knees are bent. And full deep breaths. One more breath. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, press into our feet, and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose for breath. Feel your feet in the floor. Let yourself feel your shoulders away from your ears. And you remember the alignment of the pelvis, so important. So the tailbone is reaching down towards between your heels. Good, and then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. Move around a little bit, shake out if you need to. I'm going to turn my chair around. And have your blocks handy here. We're going to come into Warrior One first. We're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior One. I'm just going to turn this down before you totally burn up a bit. I don't know why it's not pulling off. There we go, better? So stepping the right foot back. If you have your chair there, of course, you can use it because it keeps you honest. Stay square to the front of the mat. Let that right heel descend back. Remember, you can widen your stance in Warrior One. If that feels better for you, easier to balance. Draw your shoulders definitely square to the front of your mat. Bring your hands to meet in front of your heart. And then see if you can just inhale your hands right up through the midline. But when you exhale, just let them come right on back down. So you're keeping your gaze forward, okay? Let your gaze stay forward as you inhale your hands up and exhale them down. So you're feeling really strong here in your Warrior One. Inhaling the arms up. They don't have to come high. That depends on your shoulders. And exhaling down. Now if you want to add a little bit, you can watch your hands. So as you inhale and they come up, you can keep your eye on your hands, which is different. And exhale, come back down. It actually requires a bit more balance and strength. So you can inhale, watch or not, you don't have to, and exhale, come back down. One more time. So whether you're watching your hands or not, inhaling them up and exhaling them down. And then we'll unfold our arms right down beside us, and we're going to rise them out and up overhead into either a wide V or arms over your shoulders. And just stay here for a couple more breaths in your Warrior One. Feel that sense of lift through the front of the body, release down the back of the body, and feel your feet evenly into the ground there. One more breath. And then bring your gaze forward, let your arms come on down, and we're going to turn sideways on our mat. So you'll face that wall and we'll come into a wide-legged forward bend. So grab your blocks if you need your blocks. Let yourself come on forward, and if you want to bend with one knee at a time, once you get your hands down, do. So that it feels good to adjust your way into your pose, how far apart your feet are, so you can always switch and get wider or less wide too if you need to. And then come on back, and for a second here, bend both your knees. Have your hands to support you in front, either on the blocks or the floor, and press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Feel your inner thighs go backwards, like they're going back behind you. Good. And then let yourself come into the pose to stay however feels good for you. So whether it's putting blocks underneath your forearms or your hands or your head, or maybe you want your hands to be on the floor, maybe you want to let your head hang down towards the ground. Just appreciate those full, easy breaths. Let your face soften. Good. One more breath here. And then to come up, be really mindful as you ease your way up. Take your time. Walk your feet on back closer towards each other and move around a little bit before we do the other side if you want. So, coming back forward towards the front of the mat, this time it'll be the left foot that steps back. So again, if you like to be a little bit wider in your stance, it's fine. So that you feel very balanced, and equal between your feet. Even though you're really asymmetrical, right? So your right knee is bent, your left leg is straight, that back foot is fully on the floor, right? And then let your hands come to your heart and bring your gaze forward. Really find a spot to look at, right? So where you can really focus your awareness, keeping your eyes directly in this one spot, so that when you inhale the hands up, they don't distract you from looking at that spot. And when you exhale, they just kind of go through your vision as you keep your gaze forward. So inhaling, letting the hands come up. And exhaling, letting them come down. And feel how your belly and your hips and your back all work here. Inhaling the arms up. And exhaling them back down. Now you don't have to add that looking at your hands. Remember, you can if you want. You can watch them as they come up. And watch them as they come down, or not. Right? So be mindful. If you don't want to look at your hands and you want to keep that focus forward, do. Let's do one more so that when we end up back down with the hands in front of the heart, we're going to stay there. And then we're going to unfold our arms right down beside us and inhale the arms out and up. Now wide V is fine. Bringing the arms forward if you need to for your shoulders or by your ears. Letting yourself now feel that lift through the front of the body. It does not have to be a big lift. Not a big back bend. If you don't want it to be any back bend, just keep your gaze forward. Still, imagine a lift up through the front of the body and a release down the back of the body. And feel the openness in the front of your left hip. Good. One more breath. And then let your gaze come forward. Lower your arms on down, and we're going to turn sideways again towards the long edge of the mat. Widen your stance as much as you want. Come on forward and grab whatever support you want. So if you want blocks, grab blocks. Let yourself adjust how you need to. If you like to do that, bending a knee at a time. Don't do it if it hurts your knees, though. Good. And then let your hands come out in front of you, either on blocks or the floor, so that you have your hands right under you and you have a long, flat back, right? It's like your back becomes a tabletop. And then from here, bring your right hand to your right hip, roll that shoulder up, put your hand right there flat on your sacrum. Find that twist in the middle of your back. Press the feet gently away from each other too, if you want a little extra. And then bring your right hand on back down and let your left hand come on up. And as you roll that shoulder up again, Find that twist in the middle of the back. You're level right there on your sacrum. Good. You can press your feet away from each other if you want. Get a little more. And then come on back down with the hands. Bend both your knees here. Let your elbows rest above your knees. And if you're able to let your head hang like that, do. With the elbows supporting you, I mean. If it feels better to keep your head in line with your spine, do that. Good. One more breath in this squat. And now you're going to release to where you're comfortable to be in the pose. So, I mean, if you want to bring your hands down towards the floor, let the top of the head release down. Go for it. If you feel better to allow yourself to stack blocks up, get out of your hands. Maybe use the blocks for your head or for your forearms. Do. Once you get comfortable there where you know you don't have any kind of sense of tension in your upper body, just watch your breaths in and out. Nice, easy, full, deep inhales and exhales. One more full, complete deep breath. And now to come up, be really mindful. Take your time. Bring yourself either feet closer together if you need to before you come up or whatever works. And then walk the feet on together and move around a little bit. Good. We're going to come to Warrior 2 this time. So I'm going to leave my chair this way. You can kind of do what you need to do. We're going to step our right foot back and line our heels up and bend into that front knee. So take your time, let that knee bend be just right. You can look down, make sure it's not heading inward. It's going out more towards the center of your foot, maybe a little even more towards the little toe side of your foot. That really depends on you. And then from here, let's go ahead and reach our arms out. Flex your hands for a second. Let them come higher than your shoulders. And then on your next exhale, let them come back down. So now you're into your Warrior 2 arms and you can look right out over the top of your hand. Feeling that sense of reaching equally out in both directions, back behind you and forward of yourself. Open across your chest and your upper back. Good. We're going to turn the left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Nice full breath. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle where we put that left hand or forearm onto our thigh or our chair. And we can rise the right arm up or not, depending on your shoulder. Right hand can stay on your hip, or you can bring the arm up. You know, if it feels better to keep it above your shoulder, do. If it feels better to bring it in towards your head, you can. We're going to come back to Warrior 2, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And we're going to put our right hand down on our hip and stretch our left leg out long. And we're going to put that left hand down for triangle now. So you may want it on your leg, you may want it on your chair, you may want it higher or lower. It makes no difference about how low you go. Feel your thighs lifting upwards. So imagine you're making your mat longer with your feet, but you're not moving them obviously. You're just pushing them away from each other and lifting up through your thighs. Good. One more breath. And we're going to bend the left knee and come on back into Warrior 2 again. Letting yourself reach out through the fingertips, soften the shoulders down. And we're going to lower our hands down. And we're going to find lunge here now. So, I mean, if you have your chair, you can just turn towards the chair. Use the back of it if you'd rather stay up higher, or go down to the seat, or go down to your blocks. And then when you're ready to add a little twist, let your left hand come on up to your left hip and roll that shoulder up. You can put your hand right there on your back, stay there, or you can stretch your arm up if you want. If you like stretching your arm up and that feels good. Otherwise, no, don't push anything. Let yourself feel really good about that twist in the middle of your back. And then we'll release back down into lunge. We're going to step forward and come on into our standing forward bend. And then we'll bend our knees, press into our feet, and come up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, as our hands come down, imagine the top of the head is getting higher up. So you just grew maybe a half an inch. And again, make sure that tailbone is not tempting to come forward. It's reaching down like it's reaching towards the back of your heels. And then we'll go ahead and let ourselves release, shake out a little bit, and we're going to go the other side. Yeah. So we'll step the left foot back. We're coming into warrior two, so that back foot is about parallel to the back edge of your mat. Right foot is parallel to the long edge of your mat and bending into that knee. And again, it doesn't matter how far apart your feet are. You want to be mindful of just making sure that front knee doesn't go farther than your ankle. And then start to rise the arms up higher than the shoulders and flex your hands, right? It feels pretty good to find the undersides of the arms. Well, maybe not good, but you can really find them at least. And then let the arms float down and let yourself come into warrior two where the palms are down facing the floor now. Press the feet gently away from each other a little bit. Really feel your hips. Good. We're going to turn the right palm up. Left hand comes down. Inhale. Really breathe into that right side of the body. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angles. So you can put your hand or your forearm on your thigh or your chair. And you can have the left arm up, straight from your shoulder up if that's better. Or you can keep it on your hip, or you can bring the arm into line with the left side of the body. One more breath. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Now left hand on the hip, straightening the right leg out. And as you bring your torso forward, very similar to what we just did, only the front knee is bent, as straight here, right, instead of bent. So you come into your triangle pose, drawing the left shoulder up if you can a little bit. Whether you add that top arm is totally up to you. You can keep the hand on the hip. Feel the thighs lifting upward. Good. One more breath. And then bend that front knee. Make your way to warrior two again. Letting yourself press the feet gently away from each other. And then we'll lower our hands down. We're going to find lunge. So remember, as you bring your hands, you decide what height you want to be. Hands can be on the chair back, the chair seat, or the blocks. And when you're ready to bring that right hand on up and add that twist, the hand can just rest there on your low back. You're trying to stay fairly level right here. And if you feel like you want to stretch your arm up, obviously you can. Lengthen out through the top of your head. Reach back through that inner heel. Good. And then we'll release to bring our hand down. And we're going to step forward again and get our feet right under us. We'll bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up to standing. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts, coming into mountain pose. Let your gaze come forward, whether your eyes are open or closed. Let yourself feel as balanced as you can between your feet. And you can have your knees bent a little bit. Even imagine you're kind of pushing the floor away from you with your feet. So you're very engaged in your legs and very tall, lengthened up through the top of your head. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down, shake out a little bit, move around. And let's keep our mats where they are. We're going to walk over to a wall, okay? So, and you can get your chair out of the way. We'll come back to the mat in a second, but let's use a wall for a second here. And let's do this. Let's bring both hands. You might want to watch. We'll bring both hands to the wall. We're going to come on back into a little warrior three. And it doesn't need to be high at first. So it might be a really low. That's the first time we do it. Okay. Do both legs. Then we'll see if we can come a little deeper. Now if you want to try this, do. So you can watch me. So as you come to face the wall and you bring your leg up higher, you can bend your elbows. If you're close enough to the wall, sometimes it feels good to put your head on the wall. Or even release your hands with your head on the wall, which is kind of interesting, right? Don't have to do that part, okay? It's just kind of fun. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Put both your feet down. We're going to do the low leg one. So at first, just bring your right leg back and let it stay low. Yeah, turn your pinky toe down towards the floor. Have both your legs as long as you can. Good. And then bring that foot down and go to the left leg up. So just a little bit, low. Flex the foot. Yeah, feel it right behind you. Yeah, your hips are square. Good, everybody. And then come back down. Now we're going to go a little higher with the leg. Right leg is going to come up. If you can let the leg go higher, do. Again, kind of think about the top of the head going into the wall. That doesn't mean you have to do that part, but, you know, and if you feel like, oh, well, maybe I can let my hands come off the wall, reach behind me, you can do that. And then release to put that foot down, and we'll go to the left leg. So think of the pinky toe turned down towards the floor when that foot's back there. So your hips are really level. Yes! And again, if you can imagine letting go of the wall, put your head on there and taking your hands off. Yeah, it's actually kind of hard, isn't it? But it's kind of fun. And then when you're ready, come on back up. You're like, I don't know if that's a good fun thing to do or not. Turn your back to the wall, and let's walk our feet out and do a little chair at the wall, right? So where you're really back into the wall with your back, right? It doesn't matter what part of your back is touching. Your knees are bending out over the center of your feet. And you can just let yourself enjoy it. Kind of lengthen up through the top of your head. Now you're engaged in your thighs, right? Let it feel good to feel those muscles all in your thighs, all around your knees. Very strengthening pose. Good. And then we'll walk back in, and let's turn our right shoulder towards the wall. And let's just do this right inside arm up the wall where we bend the elbow. If you need to come out, do, right? But keep your gaze forward. So really think about trying not to look down and round your upper back here. So even if your elbow won't come up high, if you're out like this from the wall, see if you can just think about keeping the chest a little bit forward, right? And if you're up where you can get your elbow up higher, that's fine too. It's the same thing. You're just making sure you're trying to get that curve in the upper back where it's not this way, right? But instead, it's the other, that inward curve. Good. So one more breath. And then step away from the wall, lower that arm down. We're going to go to the other side. So again, once you bring the left inside arm up, you kind of know, what do I need to do? Do I need to step away more? Do I need to get closer? Looking forward again, that focus, so important rather than down and rounding. Again, it's like your chest leads a little bit. You can put your right hand behind you, of course. You guys who like to bring your hands towards each other, you're more than welcome. Just enjoy letting yourself feel the alignment of the spine here. Good. One more breath. And then we'll step away from the wall and shake out a little bit. And we're going to come back to our own mats, and we're going to go down to our bellies on the floor, okay? So let yourself release on down and make a little pillow with your hands if that's comfortable for you to rest your forehead on your hands. And bend your knees. Do what feels good with your feet back there. You can move around. You can do a little foot dance. You can let yourself do windshield wiper blades, whatever feels really good. Good. And then bring your legs down, back long again. Let's come on to forearms. Clasp our hands. Head up into a little half forearm plank. Bend the knees. Let yourself feel the forearms pressing into the mat. Imagine you're pulling yourself now. In fact, really pull yourself towards the front edge of your mat. You're on the flesh above your knees. And your belly and your back are really working here. Yeah? So you can feel that sense of zipping up the low belly. Still have to breathe, obviously, right? So that's the ticket. Breaths are a little bit shallower. That's fine. One more breath. And then come on back down. Let your forehead come onto your hands. And now, just kind of draw your right knee onto the mat, off beside your mat onto the floor. Okay, so that knee is bent. The left leg is still long. You can turn your head to look towards your right elbow too. So towards that knee that's bending. And then once you get as high as you want to go, just stop and breathe. Let yourself breathe into your low back. Feel that release in your hips. Good. If you want, you can bring your forehead back to your hands and lift it up a little bit off your hands if you want to. If that feels like, well, that feels even better, or maybe it just adds a little bit that feels good. It's a little bit of a back bend. And then we'll lower the head down. We're going to bring the leg back under us because we're just going to slide that left knee off the mat, bent over to the left. And again, you can turn your head and look towards your left elbow if that feels good. But really, it's the breath here. Feel your breath expanding the low back. Good. And again, if you like to put your forehead back on your hands, maybe even lift your forehead up off your hands a little bit. That's up to you. Half frog. Feels like a half frog, doesn't it? And then head down. We're going to bring our legs back underneath us. And let's come on back again into that half forearm plank. Bring yourself back onto your forearms. Pull yourself towards the front of the mat. Really enjoy finding that strength in the core body there. Good, and then we're going to shift back now from here towards child's pose. So whatever works for you, how to get there is up to you. Hips can come up in the air. You can rest on your forearms so that you just hang a little bit here with your not so deep a bend in your knees, or you can shift your hips back towards your heels. That's totally up to how your knees feel, how your hips feel, how your back feels. Breathing into the low back. Good. One more breath. And then take your time. Use your hands to help you. We're going to come up around to sitting, okay? But we're actually going to sit sideways. You guys are going to sit to where you're sideways on your mat. I'm going to grab a blanket because I want to sit up on a blanket to do this next one, which is going to be sitting in a wide angle with our legs out. So, you know, if you know that your legs don't come really wide apart, then you might want to sit up on a blanket so you won't be on the floor and you can still have your heels on your mat, right? So that when you do sit like this, it feels pretty good. So let the knees and the toes face up towards the ceiling. Yeah. And then just come a little bit forward if you can. And, you know, if this is a really hard pose for you, really, it's totally to do with how you're built in your hips. There's no way you can change the anatomy of your hips. So, you know, come forward a little bit if you can. Think about coming forward from your low back. And keep those feet flexed so that your knees and your toes are still up towards the ceiling. And you'll feel a little bit in your legs, even if you come like more in your imagination than actually moving. Stretches out the hamstrings a little bit more in the inner thighs. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll slowly come back upright. We're going to put our left hand on our left leg, slide it on down, maybe towards your shin, maybe to your ankle or your foot. And keep your right hand on your hip for a second, but draw your right shoulder up towards the ceiling. And let your head turn. So when the shoulder draws up, you too start to look kind of forward instead of down. And that might be enough right there. If you like to reach your right arm up, you can. And if you like to bring the arm down like you're bringing it towards your head, you can. But that is so totally optional. Keeping the hand down is just fine. Or keeping the arm up, straight up from your shoulder. And if you want to add more and bring it in and down, do. One more breath. Now take your time when you come on back up. Use your belly a little bit to do that. Right hand is going to come and slide down towards, again, your shin, or maybe your foot or your ankle. And then when the left hand's on your hip and you draw that left shoulder up, there is a side stretch already. Adding the arm is totally optional. You can mat it up, left arm up, or you can bring the arm in closer towards your head, turn the palm down towards the ground. So really, just be mindful. What side stretch feels the best for you today? But side stretching is so important. Good. We're going to come on back up from there. Take your time. Bring your hands behind you. And then let yourself just draw your chest forward. Let your shoulders draw back a little bit. Opening up through into the front body. Nice. And then we're going to come back up, and we're going to have to get our legs together, so however you want to do that. I like to use my hands. And we're going to lie down on our backs on the floor. So, take your time, and if you need a blanket underneath your head when you lie down on the floor, use one, right? We're going to bring our right knee into our chest once we're here and extend our left leg down long on the floor. Flex through both our feet. And then we're going to switch our legs to bring the left one knee in and extend the right leg down long. Good. And then go ahead and bring both feet on the floor. So the knees are bent, the feet are on the floor. And let's cross our right thigh over our left. So it's like you're sitting cross-legged, woman cross-legged in a chair. You know, and from there, just let your knees come a little tiny bit from one side to the other. Just enough to shift to like one buttock cheek to the other one. You know what I mean? So you're not going to lose control and fall over with your legs going down to the ground, right? And then finish off to where you're back at center. And now, if you can, draw your knees in towards your chest. And you may want to clasp anywhere. Behind your right or your left thigh. You might want to hold one or the other knee. Flex your feet so that you really feel a little more into the hips there by flexing your feet. Good. One more breath. And then let your left foot come back down, and we're going to uncross our legs. And all we're going to do is kind of straighten your spine out. If you feel a little crooked, from then we'll bring our left thigh on top of the right. And again, you're just going to let the knees go a little bit side to side with the right foot on the floor, right? So, you know, if you feel like you can go a little further without losing control, go for it. But just let it feel really easy. Good. And then once you come back into center the next time, draw your knees in. And again, it depends on you how you want to hold your legs, whether it's behind a thigh or on your knees. Flex the feet. Good. And then we'll release to bring the right foot to the floor, uncross your legs, separate your feet towards the outer edges of your mat. And now just let your knees come from one side to another at your own pace, right? And it doesn't matter whether they go down, way down towards the ground. The knees can maybe just go a little tiny bit like we did before, where you just go from the kind of one buttock cheek to the other one. Or you may want to go down with the knees. Let yourself get a little bit more into the front of the hips. Good. And then once you get back to the knees up top, go ahead and bring your knees in towards your chest now. And let the knees either circle or go side to side, whatever feels the best for your low back. And then from here, bring your feet on back to the floor and set up for a little bridge pose. If you'd rather just grab a block and be on a block and be in support, by all means do it. If you'd rather press into your arms and lift up and down out of your bridge, do. So just be mindful. Let it feel really good, like it's a very easy opening here for the front of the body. And if you are going to stay relaxed on the block, then just really let go through your low back there. Time. You know that if bridge pose isn't a pose that you like to do for very long, don't do it. If you prefer to move up and down out of the bridge, do that. And if you are like done with bridge and you need to come down and bring your knees in towards your chest, then by all means do that. When you come down, if there's another pose that sounds like you are just craving to do it, please do. It doesn't have to be a yoga pose. It can be any kind of stretch, any kind of movement that sounds good to you. So if you need another form of a twist, or if you need another hip opener, you know, you could always do like a full figure four if you want to, where you do that crossing of your ankle, or maybe you just want to stretch your legs up in the air, right? I'm going to get light, and then I'm going to start to, and then I'm going to start to walk around to bring things. Best. You know, before we know it, it's going to be so hot in here, there's no way you're even going to think about a blanket in another couple of months, so, you know, indulge.
Sweeten it by one.
I won't let you miss anything. Bring like a bolster.
Yes.
Or another blanket.
No, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, perfect.
So let me know if a blanket or a bolster sounds good. Just allow yourself to really melt down into the ground. As you accept your breaths in and out. And your mind might be wandering off a little or a lot, but whichever happens, just be okay with it. Whatever helps you to bring your focus back to your breath, if counting your breaths helps, or thinking a word when you inhale, a different word or mantra when you exhale helps. Just appreciate that wave of the breath bringing you into a quieter place. And give yourself these few minutes to completely and fully relax. support a little bit longer of the floor. And you can really use the ground to help you come up. If you are on your side, you can just press in with the top hand into the floor to be able to get up easier, but that's up to you, how you manage to get yourself up to sitting the easiest way possible and really the most comfortable way for you to sit. Maybe it's stretching your legs out, or maybe it's sitting cross-legged or grabbing a blanket to sit on. But just let your eyes be gently closed and keep your focus inward a little bit longer. Let yourself feel the breath as it comes in and goes out through your nose. And just softly let your hands come back to meet there right in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day. So go eat a lot of chocolate.
Well, I have a funny story for you about Susan.
Anyone else have problems